Hey guys, it's Elizabeth, Finding Elizabeth, and this is Monday, April 4th, 2016. This is my week 103 post-op vertical sleeve gastrectomy update. So you know what that means. Guess what next week is? It's my 2-year surgiversary. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but it did. And I'm still not a goal, but hey, whatever. So my starting weight in January of 2014 was 402 pounds. My weight at surgery on April 14th, 2014 was 360.6 pounds. My weight last week was 202.4 pounds. My weight this week was 203.6 pounds. Yeah, so that's a 1.2 pound gain since last week. And still, as it has been for the last about 6 months, that's right around 200 pounds lost overall. That is 17.2 pounds lost in the last year. So this is kind of a first. This is the first time that it's been less than 20 pounds lost in the last year. So we'll see how that screws with my head over the next week, hopefully in a positive way. And in the last month, that's a 0.8 pound gain. But hey, I really like knowing these numbers because if you're saying, oh, I lost 200 pounds, that's like, oh my God, that's fucking awesome. You lost 200 pounds. If I say, oh, I've lost 17.2 pounds in the last month, that's a little over a pound a month. That's not a lot. And if I say I gained 0.8 pounds in the last month, that tells me that, oh, if I keep that up, I will have gained 12 pounds by this time next year. So those are really good stats for me to look at. So from a weight loss surgery perspective, did not do so great last week. I don't think I did awful, but what I did do that I'm not thrilled about is that I didn't keep the goals that I had set for myself a couple weeks ago that worked really well the previous week. And for those of you who don't know, those goals were that I was exercising 5 times a week, which, no, I don't think I did that either. Exercising 5 times a week, making sure that I got in at least 60 grams of protein and 64 ounces of water before I had any alcohol. And I got some news that I'll talk about towards the end of the week that really kind of screwed with my head. And what I need to do is figure out a way to deal with this without throwing all my stuff out the window. But I guess that's one of our challenges as weight loss surgery patients is how do we cope with things now that we don't have food as an option? So didn't stay on track with those. I haven't done it today either. But I will be back on track tomorrow. So I did exercise today. I walked 2 miles, went to the beach, my happy place. It was good. So, and the other weight loss surgery related news was I got to see Patty twice this week, which was really awesome and fun. And, I should have worn the necklace she gave me for my birthday. She gave me a beautiful necklace for my birthday. I'll wear it next week since it'll be both of our surgiversaries next week because mine's April 14th and hers is April 15th. And I also got to see Tanya and John O'Rourke and their kids who were absolutely delightful. So it was really good to see Tanya. This was maybe the, 3rd or 4th time that I've met her. She is just as amazing in person as she is on her video. It was great to be able to spend some time with her and Patty, and it was really just lovely to meet her kids, who I've seen on Facebook, I've heard other people talk about, but they are truly delightful little kids. So that was fun. So since I really didn't have a whole lot of weight loss surgery stuff to talk about, and I don't want to go too deep into like whatever's going on in my life, I'll touch on it, but I had asked for questions. Well, of course, the questions that I had were all about the emotional sort of component of weight loss surgery and its aftermath. So I'm going to talk about that. And I did have one question about fashion as you're losing weight, and I will address that. I'm going to be doing multiple videos over the next week or 10 days for my 2-year surgiversary, and I have a whole slew of questions related to all different pieces about weight loss surgery that I'll do. I'm going to throw that fashion question in there for the person who asked. I'm sorry, I don't have my phone in front of me, so I can't remember who asked it. But I will talk about that in those Q&A. But since the other few questions that I got kind of were on the same area, I decided I would just focus on that. And it's on my mind this week. So I think I talked last week that the person that I've been dating since November was going to the East Coast to interview for a job. He has a pretty specialized career, so the jobs are a little few and far between. And so he got offered and accepted a job last week that is literally about as far away from here as you can possibly get and still be in the United States. So on the good side, what it may mean is that I'll be seeing more of maybe Lauren Dayton and Lori Seahorse for you, VSG. I don't know. I don't remember. She does make videos, but she came to Chicago and she came to San Diego, and she is newly on Facebook and Tinder, thanks to me. But anyway, yeah, it's far. My dog is scratching very loudly. Cinnamon, stop it. And so it's really far, and I was really sad about that. And when I got the news from him on Thursday that he got the offer, I went off the rails a little bit in terms of, my plan regarding alcohol. I had already had plans to go out with some friends that night, which I did. And, drank way too much. And then Friday I found out he accepted the job, and then he came up here over the weekend. And I mean, it's all fine. It's going to be what it's going to be. I'm trying to look at it a little more positively from this point, which is, this will either show me if this is, the relationship that I think it is, or it will show me that it isn't, and it will push me to move on to something else. So that is what it is. But it's made me sad. I felt a little bit better after he was here this weekend. But we'll just have to see how it goes. But anyway, that's that. So that put me into a little of emotional turmoil where I just said, fuck all those rules that I set up for myself. I don't want to do that. But anyway, so that sort of leads me to the questions that I got asked. I'm going to touch on the alcohol question that I was asked first. This wasn't posted on my page. I got it as a message. I won't share who sent it because I feel like they sent it as a message because they didn't necessarily want that shared. So they asked me, and I don't have my phone in front of me, so I don't have it exactly. It wasn't one that I put in my on my list, but I guess I was asked, what was my alcohol consumption like pre-op? How does that compare to it post-op? They didn't ask this necessarily, but I think maybe implied a little bit, or I'm just going to throw that out there. Is it a cross-addiction issue for me? And how do I process alcohol post-op? So my alcohol consumption once I got pregnant, I drank and partied as a young person for sure, but really the minute that I got pregnant with my son, I stopped drinking and really did not drink much at all after that. So that might have been maybe 4 times a year. There were probably years while he was growing up that I didn't drink at all. I don't recall really, honestly, until I had weight loss surgery. I don't recall even getting intoxicated in his lifespan. So he's 19, almost 20 now. So alcohol was not a big part of my life. It had been a part of my life before I got pregnant, but then I was all about focusing on being a mom, and having dealt with addiction in my family, I was really resistant to wanting to bring that into his home life, and he had enough of that with his dad. So anyway, that was my story pre-op. I had said that I wasn't going to drink alcohol until I was 1 year post-op. I don't believe, Patty may correct me on this, but I don't believe that our program had specific requirements around that, but that's sort of just what I said I was going to do. I ended up going to, and I'm sorry if some of this is repeating for people who watched all my videos, but I've had a lot of new subscribers recently, so I'm going to repeat. I went to Obesity Help Conference when I was 4 months post-op, and I saw that people were doing things that I thought were against the rules, and they were fine, and they'd lost a lot of weight, and they didn't die. So probably a week after OH, I didn't have a drink at OH, but a week after OH, I had a drink. And it was fine. I mean, and then I didn't drink very often until the end of September, until I started this little traveling phase, which Lindsay Fly was quick to point out to me when it was going on. And I started talking about the fact that I had started drinking, was that it related to also to the time that I started dating, which it very much did. So I started drinking regularly, probably at the end of September. So that would put me about 18 months post-op. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy. I know some people who have RNY say they get intoxicated really much more quickly than they did before, but it passes through their system quickly. I feel like it takes much more to get me intoxicated now than it used to. And the thing was, and this is until last week, because last week all that changed, but I didn't matter how much I drank, I did not get a hangover. Thursday night, no bueno. Friday morning, no bueno. Had a big meeting Friday, no bueno. But I did it. And I drove what was like an hour and a half to the meeting, and because it was Friday afternoon traffic on the way back, it took me 3 hours to get home, and I was literally green. But I did it. So anyway, do I think it's an issue, a cross-addiction issue for me? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I do. So, hence, the goals that I set in place had to do with not having alcohol until I'd done X, Y, and Z. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on alcohol. Okay, the other question, oh God, we're already at 11 minutes. This is going to take 3 hours to upload. So, Gracie, no one stopped me but me, said the emotional journey that is weight loss surgery and how you cope on the hard days. So, and then I'm going to just read the other question too, because I think it all sort of goes together. So the other question from VSG Brit Brat was, what things do you believe you were able or not able to resolve through therapy with regards to problem that arose from the weight loss surgery? So first of all, I don't know that the emotional stuff that I'm having now has to do with weight loss surgery. It only has to do with weight loss surgery in the respect that my fat basically kept me from experiencing relationships with people and living a real life for basically ever. So the stuff that I'm dealing with now are kind of what I consider real life problems, real life stuff that people deal with who put themselves out there in the world and who aren't hiding away under 200 pounds of fat and on their couch and never going out and doing things. So in terms of therapy, the piece about therapy that for me related to weight loss surgery was, and this very much came from weight loss surgery, was the decision to have it. So I had intensive therapy for many years, and I don't think if I would have done that, I would have ever come to a point where I felt like, number one, I deserved to have weight loss surgery. Number two, I deserved to have a life that was not as confined as it was. I mean, it is just mind-boggling to look at the life that I had. This is part of, I mentioned last week that I'm doing this storytelling thing at Obesity Help, or at WLSFA in Nashville. And I was telling my story to my storytelling coach, and it has to do with that and how I felt, and the idea that really the only thing that was keeping me, within the 6 months before I had weight loss surgery, the only thing that was keeping me from killing myself was the fact that I didn't want to do that to my son. I mean, I think about that now and I'm like, my life is so good. I mean, yes, there's ups and downs, there's emotional highs and lows, but those emotional highs and lows come from loving people and experiencing things and having this really tremendous, amazing life and friends and people who love me. And to think back to that person who really was just not killing myself because I didn't want my son to have to deal with that. I mean, it is fucking mind-boggling. So anyway, if I had not gone through the therapy I had, I don't know that I would ever have come out on the other side of realizing that, number one, I was worth having a life, and number two, that I could tolerate it. I think part of weight for me was this huge fear of being in relationship with people. And now I know that, and well, even then I had to come to a point, I don't think I would have ever had it, where I thought, I can do that. I can let people love me. And if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, either if it's through death or it's through, you break up or friendships dissolve or whatever, that I can survive that. And I don't think I thought I could before. So that was the piece where therapy helped me in terms of weight loss surgery. It got me to the point where I could have it. I backed off on therapy immediately after I had weight loss surgery because I just felt like all is good. Life is wonderful. And I know I've sort of felt like up until the last, 6 months or so, that all that, weight loss surgery, emotional stuff that people have, I didn't have it. And I attributed some of that to the fact that I was older when I had weight loss surgery. I was 48, right? I had just turned 48 when I had weight loss surgery. I had gone through things. I mean, I think a lot of times people who have weight loss surgery have never been in romantic relationships before. Up until, I had my son, I was always in a relationship or married or whatever. I just didn't feel like I was having those problems. Am I having emotional stuff now that I started dating? Yes, but I mean, like I said, it's not stuff that's about weight loss surgery. It's stuff that's about real life and living in the world and being with people. And I also think part of that I have had less of that is because I was single when I had weight loss surgery. I'm not saying that every marriage dissolves, and Amy at Gets a Vish and I talk about this all the time about whether is it better to have weight loss surgery when you're single or married. I'm going to say 100% it's easier to do it when you're single, particularly if you're single and you've been married and you had your kids and blah, blah, blah. Because then the only person this is a huge change in your life. I am a totally different person than I was 3 years ago. Totally, completely different. I think right now is who I always was meant to be, who I was supposed to be. But it wasn't who I was maybe ever. I mean, I was talking to my dad about this, and he had said it was who you were when you were a little girl. But I mean, it gets beaten out of you so early. Now I lost my train of thought. So I had weight loss surgery. I lost 200 pounds. I had this huge change in my life, how I show up in the world, my relationships. And the only person whose response I had to deal with that about was my own. So I didn't have other people who were worried about, how does that affect me? Oh, this is my wife and now she's more attractive and she's more outgoing. I didn't have to deal with any of that. And so I think, that's way easier than not. And I really didn't even have to deal with, the basic, simple stuff of feeding other people. I mean, I had surgery in April. My son went to college in August of that year. So I didn't even really have to feed him that much. So I just had to be responsible for me. So I don't think I had a lot of the typical emotional journey weight loss surgery stuff to deal with. But the question Gracie had, so that answers part of her question about the emotional journey that is weight loss surgery. The emotional journey for me is just what I said it was. It's about having relationships with people and what that means and becoming vulnerable and opening your heart to people. And I'm not just talking about in dating relationships. I'm talking about in friendships too. I never had the friendships that I have now. And, sometimes that has ups and downs too. And sometimes, something will happen and you'll feel like it's a slight or whatever. And just because of the history of how my mind works, sometimes that's a mind fuck. But that's all about real life, living life, and the problems that come with that. So how do I deal with emotional stuff when it comes up now? Probably not well. No. I guess I deal with it okay. And I will tell you the strategies that I use with this stuff, not always in this order. One of the things that I do, and I mentioned last week, is prayer and meditation. I try to do it every day. It really centers me to just go inward a little bit and allow some quiet time for myself to think through things. Walking on the beach, I didn't do that for a really long time. Well, not a really long time. It was a really long time before I had weight loss surgery that I didn't do it. But for probably like 2 months after when I was in the process of moving, that I didn't do that. I realize now it's important for me to do that. That is a space that kind of being in nature and walking and having a space to think is important to me. I go to therapy. I bumped my therapy back up because, I have a lot of stories that I tell myself around relationships, and it's tough for me not to go to a deep, dark place very quickly. And I've been fortunate that the person, I met several people, but really this person who I'm trying to keep his anonymity, because I said I wouldn't really talk about him in videos much, so I'm trying to keep it like vague, I guess, a little bit. But that this person has been very loving and very supporting and very there when I've, for the first time ever, said, I need something from you. And he has been really wonderful about giving it. But that may not always be the case, and things are changing. And I need to have therapy where I can talk to someone who knows everything about me and knows all my abandonment triggers and all my everything, who can say, look at this. I'll say, well, I'm upset because I don't think he cares about me because X, Y, and Z. And she will say, but do you realize that he drives 2.5 to 3 hours to see you? I'm like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, maybe that means that he does. I don't know. I'm just so crazy around this stuff. So therapy helps. My friends help. I have never reached out to people before when I've been upset. And you know what? The other night when I got the text from the airport, which I don't know about that, sending me a text from the airport that you accepted a job, but whatever. And I was really upset. And I texted a couple people, and within, seconds I had text back. Melly Mae called me, and I bawled on her shoulder, even though it was Friday night and she was probably doing something more fun. As soon as I got off the phone with her, Amy was texting me saying, do you want to talk? And I had already let it out on Melly Mae. So I was like, no, I'm good. I think I need to go to sleep. Let's talk later. But, all these people were saying, I'm here for you. And so that helps. Reaching out, which is something that I never did before. I do go to alcohol. Not a good thing, but I do it. And I do occasionally go to food. I can't go to food too much, but I do find sometimes when I'm in that place that I will eat things that I shouldn't eat. So that's how I cope with them. Some are healthy, some not so healthy. But, it's life. We're people. We're human. And, it's all a process. This is, at 50 years old, I'm learning how to love people in a way that's not, in a way that's healthy. And so, I honestly believe that's the biggest gift weight loss surgery has given me. And okay, for someone who had nothing to say, I'm already at 22 minutes. So I'm going to sign off for now. I hope you guys have a great week. If you made it through this video, I love you. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.